the family, rightfully so, they are demanding that charges are upgraded against the cop who decided to kill their loved one. Let's go to the video. I want to remind you of what happened and give you the update. Here it is.
Let go, taser!
67, how many cars you got going?
Drop taser!
Everyone.
Get back! Get back!
That's called murder. He shot the man in the back. And for those who will push back on this and say, well, Doc, he wasn't compliant. Remember, just because you may deserve to see a judge at some point in the near future, it doesn't mean you deserve to see your maker. Those are not the same. This was done all by the cop himself. He initiated this whole thing. Let's put up his mugshot and the person he killed. Let's keep that up. The officer killed 26-year-old Patrick Lyoya with a gunshot to the back of his head, has now been charged with second-degree murder. But the family says that charge should actually be upgraded to first-degree murder. Let's go to a picture of the cousins. Barwan and Reginald James, both are cousins of the deceased Patrick Lyoya. They are cautiously optimistic about the second-degree murder charge filed against Officer Christopher Schurr, that's his name. In Michigan, a second-degree murder charge means life in prison with the possibility of parole if convicted. There's more. Although the family of Mr. Lyoya is content with the second-degree murder charge, they would prefer a first-degree murder charge because that means if convicted, the cop who killed him would never be eligible for parole. Here's a direct quote. He planned this. He knew at this very moment that I'm about to kill him, so we need first degree. We don't need second degree. Second degree is okay, but it's still a slap in the face to me, said Barwan, the cousin. My anger went to happiness, but I was still angry, James said of the second-degree murder charge. On June 8th, Kent County prosecutor Christopher Becker concluded his investigation by charging Officer Schurr, stating the officer, and I quote, was not acting in self-defense and intended to kill Lyoya with the shot. On June 10th, Officer Schurr was arraigned in court and had a bond set for $100,000. Ever since the shooting, Schurr has been placed on paid leave. Now, here's something that I need to bring to your attention because it's quite fascinating how this rule only applies to police officers. The man is no longer with the department. He was no longer with the department. He then gets a murder charge. So they say, you gotta go, we're gonna give you leave. You can't be with us anymore. You don't get desk duty, but we're gonna still pay you. We're gonna still pay you money, even though you're not in this office and you are now being charged with murder. And they knew he was going to be charged with murder. It was well known that charges were going to come. Still paid leave, all right? The cousin says Lyoya was a father of two daughters who are suffering the most from this tragedy. The cop is on a paid vacation, which means my money that I'm paying goes towards his bank and he feeds his family and his wife. But what about my nieces? I could have been using that money to feed my nieces. Their dad is not here no more, said Barwan, the cousin. And listen, at some level, the government mandates us, forces us to fund our own oppression. You got to think about the irony of this. Those local residents, including the family of Patrick, who was slain, murdered by this cop, those families are paying into the structure that killed their loved one. And they are still paying into the structure that killed their loved one. Where else would this hold up? You have to consider it. Where else would this be possible? Do you think this would be possible with, I don't know, a fast food worker? Of course not. Do you think it would be possible with a medical doctor? Hell no. Do you think it would be possible with a school teacher? Of course not. There is not one profession where someone could actually go to work that day, murder someone, have it recorded, and leave with a paid vacation other than a police officer. And this is part of the reason why people don't like the police. This is insane. He has been charged with murder. There is not an institution more powerful than the people. That's who police officers work for. But at some point, they made us believe, as a nation, as a community, as a demographic, they tricked enough people into believing that cops are your only public safety dynamic. Police aren't even half of it. They're not even half of your public safety dynamic. They are a small part, solving less than 2% of crimes in your community. They are reactionary agents. Public safety is about proaction, not reaction. They are not proactive. All right, Yasmin, thoughts on this?
Yeah, I was actually gonna talk about your last point that you just made about how a lot of what the cops do in this country, just by design, the way that it's supposed to work is they react to things more so than they prevent crimes from happening, right? That's not really their job. And what stood out to me in the quote from one of the cousins was his not flip-flopping, but he had a lot of emotions, right? He went from angry to happy and then back to angry. And I think the thing that we tend to forget whenever we hear so many of these stories is that somebody died, right? That's a whole family that's been affected, and nothing that happens, whether it's a first degree, second degree murder charge, brings that person back, right? And all of it was so pointless and unnecessary. It's not a matter of complying or not complying, because we've seen it go the same way for people who have complied and people who have not complied, right? It doesn't always make a difference as far as what the end result is, right? The end result is that somebody died who did not have to die. So it's good that he's finally being charged. But you know what? Between like this cop and Kimberly Guilfoyle, I'm just trying to figure out how I can get paid tons of money to do nothing. But I haven't figured that out for myself yet.
Isn't that something? Yeah.